I'm Jessica Bell, where it is wine your way. Everyone say hello to my sister, Karen.
Hi.
Chef and sister and fantastic co-host.
Okay. I was like, uh-oh, where are we going with this?
I said co-chef one time before. I was going to maybe push those buttons again, but
yes,
I thought...
I see. The co-chef
Yes.
made some lovely burgers.
Co-chef includes picking up the phone and dialing the best burger joint on the east side of Milwaukee. So yes, very, very, very talented chef here. So if you're wondering how to say hi to Emily or Karen, if you're watching live, off to the right, there's where the chat box is. Go ahead, type anything in under audience, and then it'll take you to this screen. If you have a login, go ahead. If not, you can sign up right now on the spot. Just choose sign up, and then you'll fill in the 5 fields, and boom, you are a part of our conversation here. So I see Emily, I've got Karen, I've also got Douglas on the line here. We're gonna have some good times tonight. In fact, I'm wondering if we're gonna even get through everything. We've got a lot of stuff to cover. There's a lot happening in food and wine these days. And I also see Vinconomist Jeff. Good to have you back with us. It is a tasty burger. I handily disguised my bites that I've already gotten into this burger. But tonight we're doing Foodie Friday with a side of wine. And the theme here is March Madness. Now, we're not going to get Karen. Karen last night was like, now just don't get too into it. Like, I was like, I know. But we're going to have a couple themes or takes on our glory days of college. You know, and I am not going to pretend like I'm some crazy college sports fan, especially when my team, the Blue Devils, they lost in the first round. But how about you, Karen? Are you a big sports fan?
I can't believe you said that with a semi-straight face.
I tried.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Straightforward, not
well,
at all.
I have to tell you, my fondest memory of Karen playing sports was her kicking another girl's butt on the soccer field. I'm not kidding.
That's right. I don't like watching them, but don't mess with me on the field.
She took this girl to town, and but I still remember the kick punch move that she had. She kind of had
simultaneously.
Both. Yes, exactly.
Very difficult to do.
Yes. If the chef thing doesn't work out for you, then you've got the whole extreme fighting.
Boxing,
yeah. Definitely. So even if you aren't a sports fan tonight, we are going to relive a bit of our glory days, you know, those years between 21 and 29, through food, wine, and all edible news, because that's what Foodie Fridays with a side of wine is. So, you know, first the wine. First, I want to know what you guys are drinking tonight. So go ahead and let us know what is in your glass. And for us, I wasn't actually sure what I was going to do until yesterday. And I was on Wisconsin Public Radio, and I get all these questions from callers. And someone asked me about my opinion of boxed wines. And I was stumped. I had no idea what to tell them. So I thought, this is perfect. I am going to do a little taste test between boxed wine and bottled wine. Now, you know, it is a perfect fit for tonight, and it's not because college students drink cheap wine. They might, and a lot of them do, but the reason why I wanted to make that association between boxed wine and March Madness was that it's the college kids and the millennials, this younger generation, that really has less resistance to trying new things and less attachment to tradition. So they're more like, they have their mind open. And in fact, I really think that this younger generation actually intentionally seeks out things that their parents shun or look down upon. It's a way of rebelling. And so with an open mind, they're less likely to perhaps miss out on a good thing just because it's different. So my view is that youth is all in your head. It has nothing to do with your actual number of your age, and it's how you look at the world. So tonight, guys, I'm 21 again, and I have an open mind. The world is ours, okay? And we're gonna compare box and bottle wine. So I have 2 box wines, okay? And then 2 bottle wines. So we've got a box and a bottle, not saying which one, and they're both Pinot Grigio. And then I also have a box and a bottle, two different wines, and they're both Merlot. So I know which ones are which, but Karen doesn't. So she's so good. I want her to think about which one she likes, because there's preference, and then also talk about quality. Which ones, is there any difference in quality that she notes? Because they're all in the same price range, all these wines. So you're dealing with similar price points, but do you notice a difference in quality? So I also want to know, you guys out there, I want to know your experience with boxed wines, and if it's a lack of experience, why? Why haven't you tried boxed wine? Okay? And let me tell you a little bit, while you're tasting those, Karen, let me tell you guys a little bit about the wines we have tonight. We have, let's see, we've got Pinot Grigio from Bandit. Comes in a Tetra Pak. Okay, that's one of our boxed wines. And then we also have Barefoot, let's see, what was this one? Barefoot Pinot Grigio. So those are our two Pinot Grigios. And then, I'm not even going to bring over the box, that red box, that comes from Target. And it's called Wine Cube. Okay. And then we, for our other red, we've got, see here, we've got Cupcake. I had heard so much about this wine. The millennials love it. So I thought, I got to try it. I got to give it a go. And it's Central Coast Merlot. So all these are pretty much the same price. And, you know, I just want to put my 2 cents in here real quick. So for me, boxed wine is right there along with things like pink wine and screw caps. It's just one more example how historical use of the style, or the use of the way of bottling it or packaging, that's a good word, packaging it, will taint the future sales. So pink wine, screw caps, and boxed wine don't necessarily equate bad wine or even cheap wine. It's just the people who first used them or first sold them tended to be on the cheaper and lesser quality side. But once people realize the benefits of, say, pink wine and the benefits of screw caps, then you have some higher quality producers jumping on and saying, hey, I'm going to use this too. So I think the same could be true for boxed wine. In fact, there are benefits to all these. So with pink wine, it's just yummy. Screw caps, you reduce the occurrence of cork taint, which is an irreversible taint, unless you put like saran wrap in it, which is another for another day. And then what's interesting about boxed wines is it keeps it fresher if it's not going to be a wine that you age for a very long time. And you can open it, so that box over there is open, and technically it says fresh for up to 4 weeks. Okay, so some benefits to this. So now with that, Karen, put me on the spot here. Yeah. We want to know what did you think of the wine? So you have 2 whites and 2 reds.
I do. I found the yellow guy. That's how I'm going to categorize him. I found it a bit more aromatic with a lot more fruit notes to it. And actually a bit more balanced. And then the blue one was less aromatic for me, more lean, almost more steely. I got like curry notes on it, which was like kind of weird. But it's a bit sweeter. It has a little bit of effervescence to it, and I just didn't find it as balanced. To be honest, neither of them had a good finish for me, so they kind of left a bitter taste in my mouth, and the alcohol was kind of coming through.
Okay, all right. So, well, the first one, the one that you preferred, was Bandit. Okay, that was the Tetra Pak.
Oh no,
no, see, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be like that.
I'm not like that.
So this is the Tetra Pak, and I actually experienced the same. I actually was really impressed with both of these at a $5 to $7 price range. So that's for the $5 to $7 price range. This is pretty. I was pretty impressed. Now I will say I agree. The Bandit was much more aromatic and yet less sweet. It was almost the Barefoot was using a little sugar to kind of cover up for some things. Yeah. Whereas this was more aromatic, the Bandit, and it also had, like you said, great balance. And, you know, with just a little bit of that burger, that bitterness is going to go away in a second for you. So, yeah, I felt the same. I was actually impressed at the $5 to $7 range, what we were getting on them. So I actually preferred the Bandit as well, the Tetra Pak. Woo! Oh, high five! All right, so the reds. What did you think about the reds?
Oh, gosh. So, to be honest, let's see. I got the blue one. On the nose, I preferred it. It just was a little more complex on the nose. I got a little fruit, earth, notes of cedar.
Okay.
The green one, not as impressed in the nose. It almost had like something of an artificial fruitness to it.
Okay.
But on the palate, I prefer the green one. The blue one, and to say I do not like either of them really.
Okay.
I mean, I thought the whites were way better quality.
Okay, so the whites were higher quality. Well, you did like the box wine better.
Mm-hmm.
So the green one, the one you did like better, was the box wine.
Okay.
So at $5 to $7, we have to understand that it's gonna come in at a lower quality than a $15 range price. I mean, there's a reason why there's differences in prices. And so at $5 to $7, we're not gonna find the wine that knocks our socks off. But to say that for both of the wines at the same price point, you prefer the box wine shows that maybe there shouldn't be a prejudice against box wine. I've seen examples of $90 wines in boxes and in more expensive wines in boxes. So maybe some other producers might check it out, who knows? But it's just an interesting thing to check out, and I enjoyed trying all these $5 to $7 wines. I get these questions all the time, and I like to be an informed consumer. So tonight, we've already mentioned we're having burgers. I want to know what you guys are having out there. We're kind of staying in line with that March Madness college days thing. So we got a burger, half eaten right now. Sorry guys. But the only healthy thing about this is it's grass-fed beef. The rest is like butter-soaked bun, French fries. It's not healthy, but it's delicious. Any comments on what you thought about the wines with the food?
Oh, I haven't gotten that far. I like to get my drink in me first. No, I will.
We'll come back to you.
As you talk, I'll do that.
Okay. Now that I just took a bite, I was hoping she'd talk for a little. Okay. So what's everyone else eating and drinking out there?
Well, let's see. We've got Douglas has a Tempranillo from Spain. I'm sorry, from Spain, but the Toro region. Emily's drinking a Verdejo. Douglas with his Tempranillo is going to make some lamb chops later, which sounds delicious.
Love it.
Let's see. Van Canamis has some Nobilo, 2010 Marlboro.
Okay, good stuff. Well, good spring wine.
Yeah.
And I see Salem just came in with a shrimp cocktail. Awesome. Love it, guys. So yeah, I put California Chardonnay on the bottom when I thought I was gonna have California Chardonnay. So excuse that. I just realized that. So no, we have Pinot Grigios and Merlots, and the box have won tonight in this competition. So with that, let's dive into some of the news stories for today. The first one we've got here today is millennials like sweet wine. Now, it's interesting, and I put sweet in parentheses. We'll get to that in a second, but I will tell you that the wineries are rejoicing because it is official that millennials, the younger generation, do like wine. It's the Wine Market Council. Check them out online. They've got an interesting website. Announced the millennials are not only high-end buyers, but they're most likely to try wines they have never heard of, and they consume more wine. So this is like total jackpot. There's lots of them. They spend more, they try more, and they drink more. It's like cha-ching. Okay, this is huge news for the wineries right now. They're saying, all right, so what does this mean for everyone? It means we're going to see a lot of marketing towards the millennials. This label, would you guys buy this? I'd love to know. Would you buy OMG, exclamation mark, 3 of them too, because it was a big OMG. This winery, TXT, also does something like, I think LOL, WTF, all those things, which obviously is, Emily just came in, OMG, I don't know what to think of that. Yes, but this is what we're going to see. Now, what's interesting is that we're going to see we've seen other articles that talk about what the millennials are drinking too. It's not only that they drink a lot and spend a lot and drink or try new things, but they also like sweet wine. So Karen brought over a great did you bring it in?
I did.
Okay, Karen brought over a great article from Food and Wine. Was it Food and Wine magazine?
Yep.
Okay, and they like sweet wine. So as you're getting to the article, there was, they love Moscato, and then they love these sweet reds. So first let's talk about Moscato. This is huge. This is like tons of wine articles. If you're a dork like me and read a lot about wine, you're going to see Moscato is like this big new thing. So what does this article say?
So it says sales of lightly sweet Moscato have shot up an estimated 73% in the past year, in large part because of its wholesale adoption by the hip-hop community. And then they have
Okay,
lyrics.
I didn't want you to read that. I want you to read the hip hop
you want me to
lyric.
rap?
Yes.
Okay,
I want
as long as I don't have to rap.
No, we want to get that full.
Okay, so here are some examples of lyrics that,
Give us your favorite.
Well, the only one I kind of can understand. Okay, it's a celebration, clap,
Come
clap,
on.
bravo, lobster and shrimp and a glass of Moscato.
Okay. Do the one about like Brazil or something.
Okay. Still over in Brazil, sipping Moscato. You must have forgot though. So I'm take it back to the block, yo.
See, I love hip hop. Karen's not as big of a hip hop, but I'd do that some justice if I got my
It
hand.
just shows my age. When you were saying the OMG, I would think that would be like a great blend, like Mouvray, Grenache, and some Eau Grape.
Right. I get you. No. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. So they talk about Moscato, but then they also talk about these sweet reds, which I'm still like totally stumped at what they're talking about in sweet reds. Like I know of one, I think is the Apothic Red, if you've ever heard of it. But then I think they must mean port. But anyone else know of any sweet red wines out there? I mean, I think Eastern Europe and some countries like Germany, they have some sweeter reds. Hungary has some sweeter reds. But I don't know, in all these articles I read, they talk about these sweet reds that the millennials love, and I have no idea what they're drinking. So if you know what they're drinking, Lambrusco, Emily wrote, perfect. Anything else, let me know, because the Lambrusco is usually sparkling. So I'm wondering, are there sweet still reds out there? And what are they? And who are the brands? Because it's like, they're talking about how it's shooting through the roof. So I'd love to know. You guys tell me, okay?
Salon just came in with Sangue de Guida from Italy.
Sangue de Guida from Italy. Okay, I'm gonna check it out. I'm all about trying everything.
Yeah.
I don't care. I mean, you gotta try everything, and then you drink what you like. That's my motto there. Okay, so moving on, there was another story that I had to. We're doing March Madness. I saw this article this week, and I just thought we have got to do this one. Okay, shoe fly. I'm not in the mood. Okay, so in a recent study, sex-deprived flies drank more alcohol. This was found in mlive.com. And Karen, stop your giggling over there. This was an actual study done by UC San Francisco. So Emily over in San Francisco, I want to know what the heck you guys are doing with all that university money over there that you're spending it on sex-deprived flies. But I guess the article said when the flies were deprived from sex for about 4 days, they drank more alcohol. And it's a legitimate study. I'm not making this up. The study was done to further understand addiction. So I hope you guys understand today. I'm not going to ask for comments on this. I don't want to dive into your personal. I mean, I'd love to see them, but I'm not going to ask. It's right. I'm not going to ask, but you can tell us anything you want about that story. So moving on, in other news, Wullersheim Winery, which is a winery in Wisconsin, became the 2012 Winery of the Year at the San Diego International Wine Competition. Now, this is big news, not just because I'm from Wisconsin, but this is big news. It's showing that all 50 states make wine, but it's showing that they're making good wine. They're starting to move up. They're starting to understand their terroir, and they're adapting what grapes they plant. They're learning through years of experience how to manage the grapes once they come into the winery, and then they're doing a good job marketing too. So this was fantastic news, not only for Wisconsin, but really for the entire country, to see the level, the bar being raised in wines that are outside of places like California, Oregon, Washington, and New York. So I was super psyched to see this. Now, moving on, some more news. I really want to dive into this one. The James Beard Award finalists were announced this week, which means they're going to actually go to New York, and the actual winners will be announced. I believe it's in mid-May. And no, I didn't win. I didn't get nominated for a media award, and Karen hasn't yet been nominated as a chef, but come back next year. Maybe one of us will be there. And I want to know if any of your favorite restaurants, chef, writers were on the short list this year. And so for those of you don't know what the James Beard Foundation is and the awards they give, I'll take it straight from the website. It is the James Beard Foundation mission is to celebrate, nurture, and preserve America's diverse culinary heritage. and he was a cookbook author and teacher, James Beard. And these awards are for anything from restaurants to TV shows to books, webcast, radio. And there were a lot of locals that were nominated, not only in Milwaukee, but Chicago. Our mom loves Chopped. That's been nominated, the TV show. I'm loving that. I always check out the best wine programs. In San Francisco, there was A16. Let us know if you've checked that out.
I've been there.
You've been there. Oh,
Yeah.
Karen's been there.
Yeah.
And also in San Francisco, nominated for best restaurant of the country was AQ. So all these A things. What are they trying to get higher in the phone book? What the heck? So San Francisco, AQ. But and then in that category, also in Chicago, there's Next. I would love to get in there. We got to go there, have dinner there. And I love that Spiaggia, a classic Chicago restaurant, got best service. I mean, Lady Gaga was there last week, having dinner there. So it's a classic. But it got me thinking, and we talked about this a little last night, and it got me thinking how the awards are chosen. And I wanted to know more about it. And the site, the James Beard Foundation site, really doesn't go into it much more than saying that industry professionals volunteer their time. So I actually found this article from last year. And it was an interesting article. It takes kind of takes a hit at the James Beard Foundation Awards, which is interesting to me because you never really hear anything bad about it. But this was an actual James Beard Foundation judge from, the article was at New York or ny.eater.com. And this is what I found out, in case you're wondering. There's about 600 judges in the United States. 50% of them are former winners. The other 50% are industry, restaurant, hospitality industry professionals or journalists. And none of them have any of their meals comped by the James Beard Foundation, which is interesting. So they can only choose the restaurants that they have eaten at or have experienced the food from chefs that they've actually had their food. And so they can do that not only in their specific regions, because these awards are regional, but also outside. So it's interesting because this particular anonymous author contends that the winners are probably, in quote, this is his comment, those that have received the most hype, the ones that you've heard about again and again in the press and on blogs. In other words, the restaurants that have been able to afford the largest advertising and publicity budgets. I thought that was really interesting. What do you guys think? No system is perfect, especially when it's based on volunteers. Do you have I'm also wondering if some people are just scared to say anything, because then you'll never get nominated,
Yeah, so
right?
you're gonna put me on camera and ask me
No,
what I think?
I want to know what you guys think. I'm not gonna. I think no system is perfect, right? And this one, did you have some? Did you?
Yeah, I think this author brings up some really good points. And by the way, this author is one of those judges.
Exactly. So he's coming from the inside.
Yeah. And I think, before hearing about this article, when we talked about it last night, just though thinking off the top of my head, what could be one problem with the system would be that restaurants that are a bit more off the radar, that aren't as highly hyped or whatever, as he's saying, maybe smaller restaurants, but they're doing really awesome stuff, might not get recognized.
And that's what he said, because the bigger restaurants can afford to comp meals. You have like these preview dinners, and you invite people in, you pay for them. Small restaurants really don't have the budget for that. They don't do it as much. And so this author is contending that, you can only vote on where you've eaten. So maybe you've only eaten at places where you've had the free meals. I mean, there's a lot of arguments for and against. I mean, this is a very reputable organization, and for the most part, the industry accepts as a very legitimate organization. But it's interesting always to get the other side and to think about, what does this mean? Especially for people who are going after that award too. And that it was interesting because you mentioned last night that it's a great system. It's a great award system because we don't have Michelin stars in every city. So what cities have Michelin stars right now?
Well, in the United States, there's New York, San Francisco, and just recently Chicago. Okay.
So think of all the other cities out there, like Milwaukee, and that don't have Michelin stars and are looking for some kind of recognition of what they're doing. And this leads us to another important news story in food, is that the LA Times food critic has dropped star ratings. So now this is a big debate going on in the United States in the food circles. And the reasons he cited for doing this was that the food culture has changed. He says the star rating for, say, a food truck and fine dining can't you can't do it. You can't put them on the same scale anymore. People have different objectives when they go to these places. He also says it reduces a thoughtful review to a number or a star rating. All I want to say is, welcome to the wine world. We've been dealing with this for a while with all the numerical ratings of wines. And yes, it definitely does reduce, say, a wine to a number or a restaurant to a star rating. Mm-hmm. I'd love to know what you guys think about it too. And Karen, you too, if you've got any thoughts on...
Yeah, I mean, I think he's definitely hit something on the head, and it's so true that, you know, food culture has changed and evolved so much. But at the same time, I mean, sometimes in the New York Times, for example, because I kind of follow those restaurant reviews, you know, they've given 2 or 3 stars to more casual place, you know, so I think he could also change what his star rating means. It doesn't have to be this type of service, this type, and we normally... has to do more with the service than the food, you know, but you can put the star system to just the food.
Well, and that's what a lot of people are saying, is that you can have different star systems for different types of restaurants, and that was a lot of the counter arguments that was going on. I just want to mention some of the comments I'm seeing also. Vinconomist is talking about the James Beard system and saying it seems like it's rife with moral hazard. When it's not being, it's difficult when it's volunteer and you have to rely on people's integrity, everyone's integrity, and you can't really monitor it. It's difficult to monitor their morality in terms of being a judge, definitely. I think, what did Douglas say? It's easier to pull all the aspects of a quality restaurant into words as opposed to a wine. So good comment, right? And that's what a lot of the chefs were saying. They don't like the star system because we've written this thoughtful review on this restaurant, and you're just going to reduce it to a star system. But I will. This is devil's advocate here, okay? And I think it's the same for food ratings or restaurant ratings and wine ratings. Is that not all wine drinkers are wine fanatics, and not all diners are food fanatics. And so those numbers and stars give us a bit of a starting point. And I think, you know, to underestimate the consumer, to say they're just going to be sheep. All of them are sheep, just following these stars and numbers. I think it's a starting point to encourage someone to go try it. Then I'm hoping people have a brain of their own and make a decision on their own. Especially with all this microblogging, all this information out there, I have a feeling people are more comfortable with having their own opinion about not only wines, but also restaurants. So, you know, it takes a whole lot of time a lot of investment of time to research some of these wines or places. And so this gives them a starting point in a very quick way without having to read an article. Now, for those of us who really love food, those articles are fun to read, you know? It's so just a little bit of an opinion there. But I do want to say that this gets me thinking that this leads us actually to our next and maybe one of our last news stories, is that I'm getting a little sick of this what I call scoffing. I'm a little tired of scoffing. What I mean by that is the security complex of foodies. Okay, SCOF, scoffing. Not all of us are. I mean, we are, but not everyone out there is just a huge foodie or a wino. You know, we've got to accept that other people have other priorities in life apart from food and wine. Now, it's hard for us to understand, but this leads me to my next news story, which is that this 85-year-old woman, she's a food critic in North Dakota, and she did a restaurant review on the Olive Garden, and it went viral, absolutely viral. And you know, when I checked out the article, it was in the Grand Forks Herald. I read it. It was a simple but very well written review. And in Marilyn Hagerty's, the author's words, it was the long-awaited Olive Garden receives a warm welcome. She remarked in it that it's a beautiful restaurant. It's the most beautiful restaurant operating in Grand Forks. And she talked about the breadsticks, the salad, the fettuccine alfredo, the decor, and this just went viral. Why? Because people were making fun of it. They were ha ha ha, you know, like this is so funny. And I was just like mortified for the people who were like criticizing this. I really, you know, for her, I think, no, for the community she was in, there were waits for weeks to go into this place. This is news, people. Like, if it's not news for you, that's fine, but just don't be above it, you know? Like, I don't know. I think it's news when it's commenting on what's on people's minds. And just because they don't know the difference between, you know, button mushrooms and shiitake, or, you know, what are the crazy mushrooms we had that one time at that you cooked up? Maitake, shiitake, you know. Just because they don't know that doesn't mean they're less of people. And I actually watched an interview with her. I think it was morning, like CBS early morning news, the national syndicated one. And they were just rude. Not rude. They didn't mean to be rude, but they were so demeaning and belittling to her that it just made me sick. I was just like, what is wrong with these people? Just because she's 85A doesn't mean she's dumb. She's probably a lot smarter than all of us. But let's also not forget what makes food and wine so special. It brings people together, it gives us pleasure, and it's life-sustaining. And you know what, more than that, that's your prerogative. But don't judge other people, I think. I think it was like kind of like a crazy thing. And I also, coming from the wine world too, we've dealt with wine snobbery for a long time. And now in the wine world, it's very, you know, everyone says they're not a wine snob. Everyone. And I think the food world's going to realize this, that, you know, it's not cool to be a food snob, right? I mean, food snobbery in any form, I think, shows either insecurity or a lack of knowledge, is my opinion. So, sorry, that's opinions of Jessica Bell, period. So, I don't know. I'd love to know what you guys think, though. I thought it was, I don't know. I was kind of appalled by the whole situation with her. Anyone coming in on that?
Not specifically on that, but there's a couple. Douglas asked what you thought of Yelp, which I thought was interesting, because it's kind of like Yelp is the online community to review restaurants. Yeah. So going back to talk about the star system, you know.
I think, and that's where I think the future is in places like Yelp, and not only that, but the social networks. If your friend says they like it, you're more likely to go than some critic says they like it. So I think there's going to be a breakdown. I mean, we'll always look to the informed, educated professionals, and they are. I mean, they know what they're talking about. But I do think that websites like Yelp and all these microblogging sites are really the future of advice. And so that's a great point, Douglas. Anything else out there?
Let's see. Well, Douglas was also just commenting that you may not like their wine selection, but the Olive Garden people do work hard to put together a thoughtful list.
I agree, Douglas. And it was interesting. Personal story here. Okay, so our nanny, she is like my surrogate sister. She's a fabulous woman, and it was her birthday last year, and she wanted to go to the Olive Garden. So we went, and my husband and I were very impressed with the Olive Garden. I was very impressed with the Olive Garden. I had a very good time, and the food was great. And you know what? I think we need to get over this whole idea of, not just because big isn't always bad, and you can't judge other people for what they like as much. You can have opinion about what you like, but I don't know. I think just try everything. Be open. Okay. Now I'm like a shrinking violet. I'm like, what did I just say? Okay. So anything else out there, Karen? And then otherwise we're going to go on to what's trending and call it a night.
Go on to what's trending.
Okay. So what's trending? Cookbook ghostwriting. This is huge. Have you heard about this?
I just saw a little blurb on it.
This is kind of blowing up right now. This is actually taken from iVillage, although it's all over the place right now. Is that New York Times writer Julia Moskin claims that people like Rachel Ray and Gwyneth Paltrow employed ghost writers for their cookbooks, and it turned into a bit of a Twitter Skype catfight with no one backing down and apologizing. So it's an interesting it's interesting because today Gwyneth Paltrow actually went on to the Rachel Ray show so that the two could publicly, in essence, bitch about what was going on, and it almost appeared as like the cool mean girls.
Oh gosh.
No, but this is my comment here, is that I want to know if anyone else saw it, because I only saw it recorded. I don't typically have time to watch the Rachel Ray show in the morning, but Skype, huge letters. She Skyped in. I'm wondering who got paid and how much to have Gwyneth Paltrow Skype in. And where I'm going with this is that these two, Rachel Ray and Gwyneth Paltrow, have been criticized in the media for a lot of things. Their relationships, what they do, and they have never made such a big deal about it. This is falling into their hands, if you will, for publicity. And I really think, you know, if I was accused of something I didn't do, I'd be upset about it too. Okay, I'm not saying who did what, but they're really taking this to, you know, to the bank. And if it's really slander, then sue the woman. You know, but to really take this to such a level where you have a whole show devoted to it and you know millions are watching, it's like, well, okay, now we're talking about our cookbooks, we're getting Skype, maybe getting a check from Skype. I don't know. It just seemed a little crazy to me. Yeah. So I mean, I'd love to know what you guys think. I'm, you know, I guess what it is it's how people define cookbook ghostwriting. There's ghost cooks who actually cook your recipes. Then there's cookbook ghost writers, which is what the New York Times writer accused them of having. But there's a fine line between those ghost cookbook writers and editors. So, you know, there's no way they did it all themselves. And they've acknowledged that. And so I think, you know, this is kind of a moot argument, but yet we're going to take full advantage of it. So I don't know. Do you have an opinion about it?
Yeah, no, I mean, it wouldn't, to be honest, I mean, I don't want to be, you know, I would obviously be Gwyneth and you'd be Rachel Ray.
Yeah.
Because
wait a second.
It's your show, that's all I'm saying.
Okay. Oh, okay.
But,
wait a minute, I'm the short one? Wait, hold on.
I was going to say brunette.
Well, I'm the short brunette one. Yeah. I'm like 6 feet tall.
Yeah, in real life, we all know it's the contrary.
No.
But, yeah, I mean, it really doesn't surprise me. Kind of the whole thing with Gwyneth Paltrow and food in Spain, it kind of actually bugged me because, you know, I mean, I know she did live there, but she doesn't even eat jamon. Come on.
Right.
She's a vegetarian. She doesn't eat jamon.
Yeah, how can you be a Spanish or food enthusiast if you don't eat jamon?
Yeah.
So. Anyone else have some thoughts out there? Are we the only ones griping?
No, everyone else says they kind of smell PR stunts behind most things coming from Hollywood. And it sounds like publicity. And then Salon says, Rachel seems a little creepy with that pasted on smile, but I'm sure she's a very nice person.
Nice. All right. Love it. Yeah, you guys, I think you get where we're going with all this, and I've gone way over. I think this is all the time we have for today. Any other comments out there that you want to throw in, Karen, that you saw tonight? Or, yeah, go ahead.
No, just one interesting question, because you were talking about Wollersheim. Douglas asked, do you have a favorite wine from Wollersheim?
Wollersheim. They have, their Prairie Fumé is, I think, one of their most well-known ones. They also have one that is Domaine du Sac, which is a red. It's very Beaujolais-like. In fact, the winemaker came from Beaujolais and has employed a very Beaujolais style onto the wines, which makes sense given the grapes they're working with. So those are two that are probably their top two wines and probably the most commercially available. So great question. Thanks. So yeah, I think that's all the time we have for today. Remember, those are the views of my wine school, not anyone else, not Karen necessarily. We look forward to seeing you guys next week. Next week, Thursday, we're going to be doing Argentina. So we won't be doing Foodie Fridays, but we will be doing Argentina. If you liked what you saw, tell a friend, invite them over, share a bottle with them. And we'll see you next week on Thursday. I'm Jessica Bell from My Wine School, where it is wine your way.